Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And today we're going to be talking about setting standards in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Well, the interesting thing is, I have seen over the years, the more we set standards for ourselves and have expectations of what we're looking for, and not just tolerating things, the more likely we're going to have a partner that actually works to meet those standards. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that when you lower your standards, a lot of times the person that you're dating doesn't really value as much. And so we're going to be talking about this today because setting standards with people and what you want them to bring into your life or into the relationship is really important to do.
Mm-hmm. And after a breakup, if that's what you're going through, being able to define what your standards are is really important. Sometimes we find that people immediately after a breakup start dating others, mm-hmm. and their standard is literally anything better than their ex. Mm-hmm. And for some of you, the bar is in hell. So we thought we would talk about this topic today just to open your mind up a little bit to find out what it is that you want. So sometimes it's easier to know what you don't want mm-hmm. rather than it is to find out what you want.
That's true.
And we learn this through negative experiences that we have with people. We might think, oof, I never want to have to go through that again. I didn't like this about this person, and it's important for me to have a partner who does have that thing. And so we can first start delineating our standards by finding out what our deal breakers are. What is it that we absolutely cannot have in a partner?
Yep. A lot of times we don't realize what those things are mm-hmm. until it happens. Mm-hmm. I don't want somebody who will give attention to other people in the relationship. And if you continue to do this, I can't stay. And then they have a choice to make.
Mm-hmm. Or it could be somebody who smokes. It could be somebody who lives too far away, mm-hmm. if they don't want kids or if they don't want to get married. Mm-hmm. So things surrounding values, things surrounding lifestyle.
Yeah, you have to figure out what things are important to you. Nobody can tell you what's important for you or not important to you. Everybody has their own standards and their own set of things that they're looking for in somebody. Mm-hmm. And, we kind of take these things that we look at, values maybe, or personality traits that we want in somebody. Oh, I want somebody who's really funny. Or I want somebody who is really loyal. Mm-hmm. And so knowing what those things are can be really helpful to choosing people and then, moving on from people that don't work for you.
Right. We do want to say that there are some standards that we believe that you should have across the board, and that includes not tolerating abuse.
Yeah.
So I want to be very clear about that. Somebody who is physically aggressive with you, just be very careful with these things because that can be a very slippery slope once you start being lenient on those standards.
Yes. Don't allow somebody to get abusive towards mm-hmm. you, physically, mentally, mm-hmm. verbally, because it's not going to go well. You're going to feel terrible all the time. It's not going to be conducive for love.
Mm-hmm. Right. Another way to help define your standards is also thinking about what it is that you need. Mm-hmm. So as a person who's attached to people, how much intimacy do you need from a partner? Do you want from a partner? Mm-hmm. And also, are there certain faiths that you're involved with? Maybe this has to do with your worldview or your philosophies in life. Mm-hmm. There are some people who are vegan and they want to date other vegans. It's mm-hmm. important for their partner to understand how they see the world.
So they get to choose from 0.0000001% of the population.
Yeah, true.
You and 3 other people in your city.
Right.
I'm kidding, of course.
And this could also be the same with maybe political view or even your sexuality.
Yeah.
If there's certain people who are involved in certain types of communities that you're interested in, that can be a standard for you, and you're allowed to decide on that. Another thing that can help to defining your standards is also looking at your love languages. So maybe you want a partner who is very affectionate with words, and you want them to understand that words is your love language. Maybe it's physical touch, and you want a partner who's very physically affectionate. So these are all okay things to add to your list. Mm-hmm. And what's a fun exercise is to just do a brainstorming activity. Write out everything that you want and need from a partner. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that this is a must, but just some of the things that you want.
Sure, because it's going to be hard to find somebody that meets all of your needs because they have their own set of needs too, and it's about two people coming together to try and meet each other's needs. So, it gets tricky when you go to one person and expect them to meet all your needs. So, when you have other people that can meet your needs, friends and family, it makes it a lot easier to navigate than just putting the pressure all on one person.
Right. And what can happen often is getting into a relationship. This person seems amazing. They check off all of your boxes. They meet all your standards. 6 months later, now they're a totally different person.
Well, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably see that 10 times a week. And a lot of that has to do with the way they attach and their attachment issues.
Right.
In the beginning, when people are really excited and they have all these chemicals released and they feel amazing and the dopamine, they're like a drug over you, they're going to be a lot more likely to meet those needs. And then suddenly 6 months in, you start to get really attached and care about this person, and they don't want to do these things. I don't want to go to your families again. I really wanted to go out with my buddies this weekend. I didn't want to do this thing. And they don't want to give up their independence.
Yeah, exactly. And so be very careful in these situations. Nobody is going to be perfect. There are going to be people that fall short, and you might discover more of your standards along the way from dating somebody. And I hope that's not discouraging, but rather encouraging. We're always finding out more information about ourselves. But just be aware of that. Sometimes 6 months in, you might think, man, I already invested so much. That maybe I'll be a little bit lenient on the standard that's very important, on the standard that, I have always held very close to my heart. So just be aware of those standards that you can be more lenient on versus the ones that are most important to you.
Yeah. But if you keep them too low, you're just going to wind up with people that aren't really invested in you and committed to a relationship, believe it or not. A lot of times I think people that settle and they will tolerate think, well, if I don't put these demands on that person, they'll love me, they'll stay, they'll be there for me. But in actuality, what happens is then they're not really investing in the relationship and they're more likely to leave.
Right. I think that's an excellent point. The other thing is you might have had a string of bad relationships in your life, and you might be drawn to people who are very different from what your standards are on paper. So be very aware of what's going on inside of you when you do start these connections. What is it that you're drawn to? Is that something healthy? Are you drawn to somebody ignoring you or somebody who's not as present in your life? So explore some of those things for yourself.
Yeah, I really think that the more standards you have, the more likely you're going to have people that are working to meet those standards. Now, of course, you can't keep them ridiculously high, but it's good to have some standards. And if you just tolerate anything that comes your way because you're desperate or you feel desperate, then a lot of times those people aren't even going to respect you. People will respect you more if you do have standards.
Exactly. I also want to point out that it's a two-way street in relationships. So if you have certain standards for other people, make sure that you have those same standards for yourself.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
A lot of times you'll find people saying, I want this, 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 and this. And then you ask them, okay, well, are you doing those things? Do you have those things to provide to a partnership? Well,
That's a great point. You really need to take a look within yourself if you're the person and you're living up to the same expectations that you have for other people. I see a lot of unhealthy people that do that too. That, yeah, you're right. They have all these demands of what they want from somebody, but they're not bringing those things to the table. They're falling short in most of those categories.
Right.
So you got to take a look at within yourself. The kind of partner are you? Are you patient? Are you understanding? Are you empathetic? Are you able to meet somebody else's needs even if they're different than yours? And balance that, because it's not easy to do. But you really want to take a look at who you are as a partner, because if you have high expectations for somebody and then you're not meeting them, I mean, why would they stay?
Right.
Right?
Right. And these are all things that can be discussed with your partner, and even early on in the dating stage. I wouldn't necessarily come on the first date with a scroll. I'm just imagining the scene where you just like dump the scroll on the table and it's like endless. It keeps going.
Keeps rolling around the restaurant.
Right. So you don't want to come in too strong like that, but just being able to discuss some of the things that you want, and, you know, asking questions, being curious about your partner. Maybe you'll find out more things about yourself that you didn't know.
Absolutely. I think it's important to understand what your standards are and how it's impacting your connections. Like I said, I really do think when you value yourself enough to have some standards, people are going to pick up on that and they're going to respect you more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. And Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here if you need to talk.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to do that. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.